So recently I found out that they are going to replace the word nigger with the word slave in the iconic book Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain, which is pretty much the equivalent of digging up his grave, exhuming his body, and taking a piss all over his corpse. Hey Mark, you weren't politically correct enough, so we're gonna change these words around, change your sentence structures, replace the word nigger with slave because that's what we do as American culture. We rewrite history. We're really good at that, you know. We tend to demonize people that shouldn't be demonized and glorify people that shouldn't be glorified because it's easier to do that than it is to objectively view a situation and say, hey, maybe we could learn from this shit. You know, the word nigger was used in Huckleberry Finn 219 separate times. Now realistically, you would think if Mark Twain didn't want the word in the book, he would have replaced it himself. Now I know I'm not the first to say this, but as time goes on, I fear that eventually I may become the last. But words like nigger and faggot only have the power that they do because we allow them to. You know, imagine if we lived in a world where somebody called you a nigger and we scoffed at it like, pfft. Instead, we view it as like something that we just cannot say. It's like our entire nation is full of 5-year-olds again, and if we get caught saying a word, we're gonna be in big trouble. Don't say the F word, and I'm not talking about fuck. You know, you say the word faggot and it's like, you're a hate monger. You hate gay people. And it's bullshit. It's bullshit. But you know, that's not even the distressing part. At least to me. I mean, it is distressing, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't fucking surprise me. What does surprise me is how any kind of dissent on this has been silencing itself. You see, Roger Ebert tweeted about this. He said, I would rather be called nigger than a slave, which I think is a pretty powerful sentiment. Or at least it was before he took the fucking thing down and apologized for saying it. What the fuck, Roger? What is with all this fake apologizing anyway? It's like we're so obsessed with that. Whenever somebody does something, the first thing they have to do is, I apologize for doing this and this and this. I apologize for raping my cat and... And it's not like they really have to be sorry for it. You really think Roger Ebert is sorry for saying that? No. I think he meant what he said, and I want to reiterate it because I think it is a powerful sentence. I know I'm white-skinned, I'm blue-eyed, I've got nothing to really complain about, other than the fact that maybe there's just not enough prejudice against me. You know, maybe the lack of prejudice against me is slightly prejudiced. But when we demonize words and we omit them from text and we destroy authors' work, there's something really fucking wrong about that. Something painfully Orwellian. And I know that word is tossed around so much that it's lost its power entirely, but more and more, we inch closer to that kind of society. We live in a country where our leaders tell us to keep an eye out for suspicious people, that everyone around you could potentially want to destroy the fabric of American culture. But if this is what America is, then I want to destroy the fabric of it. When you omit the word nigger from Huckleberry Finn, you might as well be saying that the word didn't exist back then either. You think anybody back then were calling black people slaves? No, it just wasn't fucking happening. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm not trying to condone calling people a nigger or calling people faggot or anything like that. I'm not encouraging that. By giving words such power, by letting them hold such a sway over us, we're pretty much all admitting that we're infants, that we can't handle the reality of things. What good does it do to omit that word from Huckleberry Finn? I want one good reason. The only thing I've heard is that a lot of schools have banned the book because of that word, and now kids all over the country can enjoy Mark Twain's famous book again. But you know what? I read Huckleberry Finn when I was about 12 years old, and it didn't make me a racist. I know plenty of people that haven't read Huckleberry Finn and are racist, and would read it and would probably come out racist. But if you aren't inherently a bigot, then you aren't going to come out any more of a bigot afterward. So that doesn't work. That's the same kind of logic that they use when they ban dodgeball from schools, which is just crazy to me. The fact that we have to shelter our kids so much that they can't even play dodgeball, what kind of world are we preparing our kids for? If you can't handle a dodgeball, how the fuck are you going to handle a fist later on? And I'm not talking about a fist in your face, I'm talking about one up your fucking ass from a TSA agent. But that's what America wants. They want a country of very ordered, ruly people. People that just follow orders. They want you to go through TSA scanners and not complain. Our dissenting voices can no longer be dissenting. Because if you disagree with anything in American politics, you could be labeled as a homegrown terrorist, a terrorist born in America. It's not the same kind of political environment that existed prior to 9/11. Because everybody is terrified out of their fucking minds. You know, you grow up fearing dodgeballs, and then you end up fearing bombs later on in life. When we're kids, our parents tell us not to say words like fuck and bitch and shit because they're bad words. And then we grow up into adults who can't say the words faggot and nigger because they hold so much goddamn power that if you say them, the fucking walls will collapse. I'm surprised these are still standing. I think it's the paneling. Good construction. And what about these? You know, when my grandma used to smoke, I used to hate it. I used to say, Grandma, why do you smoke for? You know, it's only going to cause you to get cancer. And later on, she did get cancer and she ended up dying. And it probably could have been a result of these cigarettes. But she told me something then that I will never forget for the rest of my life. And that was this. She smoked because it was her right to do so. It was her right to choose whether or not she wanted to ingest these chemicals, like I do now. It was her decision, her cognitive thought as an adult to make adult decisions. But we don't have that anymore. Our government has to play mommy and daddy. You can't smoke in a restaurant anymore. A restaurant owner can't even decide for himself whether or not he wants these to be tolerated in his establishment. Instead, our government tells them, no, if you want to smoke, go outside. And I'm not saying cigarettes are a good thing, because, I mean, let's be honest, they're not. These things were probably the cause of my grandmother's death. However, these things also represent the death of our personal liberties. The fact that we've been brainwashed enough that if I go outside and smoke and someone walks by, they'll do that stupid cough thing, you know what I'm saying? We're like, like, don't fucking smoke in front of me. Some sense of entitlement, like they own the fucking world. That's the exact kind of mentality that our American government has toward the world. They put sin taxes on cigarettes and try to encourage their people move away from cigarettes. But they're still perfectly legal because it's big business. They make a lot of money off these fucking cancer sticks. It's huge business, you know. However, something that can't be contained, like marijuana, for instance, is still fucking illegal in most of America. Think about that. Things like mushrooms and marijuana, things that grow naturally on Earth, we have prohibited people from having for decades. Something that started as a smear campaign because hemp was set to replace a whole bunch of things which would have destroyed the present American fabric. So I don't want to say that I started smoking because it'll inevitably piss people off, but it's just like a cherry on top of the cake, you know. Those are the people I want to piss off. Basically, all I want to say is that the American public are full of fucking cowards. We're babies. And our parents are the government, and they're abusive as fuck. And we're all too scared to retaliate because then we might suffer a fate similar to Bradley Manning or something, and we'll be shipped off somewhere secret and no one will ever hear from us again because that's how America works. It's big business to arrest people and throw them in jail, ground them, keep them grounded, you know, turn felons into them so they can't even have jobs. You know, you carry too much pot on you and you can go to jail for a long time for that shit. Back to the original point, but it all kind of ties in together. Freedom is an illusion, people. There's no such thing as freedom. We can't even write books without fear of our words being watered down when we're dead and can no longer say anything about it, when we can't dissent ourselves. And then people that can dissent, people that have the voice to do so, don't. And when they do, they apologize for it. Roger Ebert didn't have anything to be apologetic for, but us as a culture, we all do. We owe apologies to our kids and our grandkids and our grandkids' grandkids and our grandkids' 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 grandkids because we are showing them that you don't ever really grow up. You go from a little baby to a big one with facial hair and a little fuzz on your balls. And if your balls are at all suspicious, or you have brown skin and like to wear a turban or practice Islam as a faith, and then even those rights are taken away. You know, you can't even go through an airport without the fear of your naked body being seen by some creepy asshole. It's your fault, America. You're allowing it to happen. Wake the fuck up already.